Fleet Commander Zorax Pell stared at the gleaming hull of the GCS Intrepid, the most advanced starship ever built by the Galactic Confederation. His four eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of extreme frustration among the Quatrani species. The vessel should have been his crowning achievement. Instead, it had become his greatest embarrassment. "You are telling me," Zorax said, his voice dripping with sarcasm, "that this 30 billion credit warship, equipped with the most sophisticated artificial intelligence in 3 galactic sectors, refuses to fly?" Chief Engineer Lumi Tass nodded her bulbous head. The blue-skinned Luminari looked as confused as Zorax felt. "That is correct, Commander. The ship's central computer acknowledges all commands but will not engage the primary drive system." "Have you tried turning it off and back on again?" Zorax asked, his upper left eye twitching. Lumi's bioluminescent facial markings flashed in what Zorax recognized as annoyance. "With respect, Commander, we have performed 17 complete system resets, and we have replaced the quantum processor cores, and we have even brought in independent specialists from 3 different systems." Zorax ran a clawed hand over his facial ridges. "And? And nothing. The ship simply responds with the same message, pilot compatibility error." A harsh laugh escaped Zorax's throat. "Pilot compatibility error? It's an autonomous warship. It doesn't need a pilot." "That's what makes this so puzzling, sir." Lumi gestured toward the massive vessel. "According to the specifications, the GCS Intrepid has the most advanced navigation AI ever created. It should be capable of plotting and executing complex maneuvers without any organic input." Zorax paced the length of the observation deck. Below them, dozens of technicians swarmed around the ship like insects, running diagnostics and tests that he knew would yield no results. "What about the manufacturer? What do they have to say about this fiasco?" "Telax Industries claims the ship is functioning exactly as designed," Lumi said, her voice hesitant. "They say there's nothing wrong with it." "Nothing wrong?" Zorax's voice rose to a pitch that made several nearby officers turn their heads. "It won't fly. How is that not wrong?" Before Lumi could respond, Zorax's communication implant buzzed. He tapped it with irritation. "What is it now?" "Commander," came the voice of his assistant, "Admiral Krev requests your immediate presence in Briefing Room 7. Zorax closed his eyes. Admiral Krev. Just what he needed. The Supreme Commander of the Galactic Confederation fleet had arrived yesterday to personally witness the maiden voyage of the Intrepid. Now Zorax would have to explain why the most expensive military vessel in history was sitting uselessly in its dock. "Tell the Admiral I will be there shortly," Zorax said, then turned to Lumi. "Keep working on this. Try anything. I don't care if you have to get out and push the damn thing." Admiral Krev was not known for patience. The ancient Dravarian had survived 3 galactic wars and countless political upheavals. His leathery skin bore the scars of his experiences, and his single large eye fixed on Zorax with unmistakable disapproval. "Commander Pell," Krev said, his voice a gravelly rumble, "please explain to me why the Intrepid remains docked while our enemies grow bolder by the day." Zorax straightened his posture. "Admiral, we are experiencing a technical issue with the ship's AI. It's refusing to initialize the propulsion systems." "Refusing?" Krev's eye narrowed to a slit. "Machines don't refuse, Commander. They malfunction." "That's just it, sir," Zorax replied, trying to keep the frustration from his voice. "According to every diagnostic we have run, there is no malfunction. The AI is functioning perfectly. It simply won't fly." Admiral Kreb's massive hands clenched into fists. "The Confederation Council is breathing down my neck, Commander. The Intrepid was supposed to be our answer to the Krell incursions in the Outer Rim. Without it, we risk losing 3 star systems and potentially triggering a full-scale war." "I understand the urgency, Admiral. We are exploring every possible." The door to the briefing room slid open, interrupting Zorax mid-sentence. A young Luminari officer rushed in, her facial markings pulsing with excitement. "Commander, Admiral, we have found something." Kreb turned his intimidating gaze toward the newcomer. "This had better be important, Lieutenant." "It is, sir," she said, seemingly unaffected by the Admiral's intimidating presence. "We have been analyzing the ship's base code, digging deeper than anyone has before. We found a hidden subroutine buried in the AI's primary consciousness matrix." Zorax leaned forward. "What kind of subroutine?" It's odd, sir." The lieutenant activated a holographic display in the center of the table. Lines of complex code scrolled by. "The ship is specifically designed to require a pilot of a particular genetic structure." "That makes no sense," Zorax said. "The specifications clearly stated that the Intrepid is fully autonomous." "Yes, sir, but this code suggests otherwise. According to this, the ship will only accept a pilot with a very specific genetic sequence." The lieutenant paused, looking uncomfortable. "A sequence that doesn't match any known species in the Confederation database." Admiral Krev slammed a fist onto the table, causing the hologram to flicker. "Are you telling me that Telax Industries has sold us a 30 billion credit paperweight?" "Not exactly, sir," the lieutenant continued. "We have run the genetic sequence through every database we can access, including historical and archaeological records. And," Zorax prompted, "and we found a match. One match from a species from the far edge of the galaxy, a planet called Earth." The room fell silent. Zorax felt a cold sensation spread through his body. "Humans? The ship is asking for a human pilot?" The lieutenant nodded. "Yes, sir. The code specifically requires a human genetic signature in the pilot's chair before it will activate primary systems." Admiral Krev's eye widened, then narrowed dangerously. "This is preposterous. Humans are barely space-capable. Their technology is primitive at best. They have only recently achieved faster-than-light travel, and even that is rudimentary compared to our systems." "Nevertheless, Admiral," the lieutenant said, "the evidence is clear. The Intrepid was designed to be piloted by a human." Zorax's mind raced. But why? Why would Telax Industries build such a requirement into their most advanced warship? No one had an answer. Admiral Krev rose from his seat, his massive frame towering over the others. "I want the CEO of Telax Industries in this room within the hour. And prepare a ship. We are going to Earth." The journey to Earth took 3 standard days, even with the Confederation's fastest courier ship. Zorax spent most of the time reviewing everything the Confederation knew about humans, which wasn't much. Humans had been discovered 50 years ago during a routine survey of supposedly uninhabited systems. Their planet, Earth, was located in a relatively isolated part of the galaxy, far from the main trade routes and political centers. Initial contact had been limited and cautious. The Confederation had established a small diplomatic outpost on their moon, but interaction between humans and the rest of the galaxy remained minimal. "Fascinating creatures," muttered Dr. Neb Pax, the xenobiologist who had joined their expedition. The diminutive Xeni adjusted her viewing apparatus as she scrolled through data. Highly adaptable, extraordinarily resilient, and surprisingly intelligent, given their relatively brief evolutionary history. Zorax grunted. "Intelligent enough to sabotage our most advanced warship?" Dr. Pax tilted her head. "That seems unlikely, Commander. Humans have no representation in the Confederation. They have no access to our military specifications or technology. Then why would a ship like the Intrepid be programmed to require a human pilot?" Zorax asked, not expecting an answer. To his surprise, Dr. Pax had one, perhaps because of their unique neurological structure. Humans possess an unusual combination of logical and intuitive thinking patterns. They can make cognitive leaps that other species find unpredictable. Zorax frowned. "Are you suggesting that Telax Industries built the most expensive warship in Confederation history to take advantage of human unpredictability?" "I'm merely speculating, Commander," Dr. Pax replied. "But consider this. The Krell have won every major engagement against our forces for the past decade. Their battle computers can predict our tactical maneuvers with 97.8% accuracy. Perhaps Telex believes that introducing a human element might create the unpredictability we need to gain an advantage. Before Zorax could respond, the ship's intercom activated. Commander Pell, we are approaching the Sol system. Earth Orbital Control is requesting identification and purpose. Zorax sighed. Tell them we are on a diplomatic mission. We need to speak with their leadership regarding a matter of galactic security. Earth's orbital station was primitive by Confederation standards, but impressive considering how recently humans had achieved space travel. Zorax, Admiral Krev, and Dr. Pax were met by a delegation of human officials who looked both curious and wary. "Welcome to Earth," said one of the humans, a female with dark skin and curly hair. "I'm Director Aaliyah Jackson of the Earth Space Agency. This is an unexpected visit. Our scheduled diplomatic exchange with the Confederation isn't for another 3 months." Admiral Krev stepped forward, his massive form causing several humans to take an involuntary step back. "Director Jackson, I am Admiral Krev of the Galactic Confederation Fleet. We are here on a matter of urgent importance that may require the assistance of one of your people." Director Jackson raised an eyebrow. "The Confederation needs human assistance? That's unprecedented." "Believe me," Zorax muttered, "we are as surprised as you are." After a brief negotiation, the Confederation representatives were escorted to a conference room in the orbital station. Director Jackson assembled a small team of human experts, including military officers and scientists. Admiral Krev explained the situation with the Intrepid, leaving out specific details about the ship's capabilities and the threat posed by the Krell. Even with these omissions, the humans looked stunned. "Let me get this straight," said a male human with gray hair at his temples. "You have a starship that refuses to fly unless a human sits in the pilot's seat?" "That is correct," Zorax said. "And time is of the essence. The ship is needed for peacekeeping operations." The humans exchanged glances. Director Jackson leaned forward. "While we are flattered by the request, this raises many questions. Why would an advanced Confederation vessel be designed with such a requirement? And why weren't we informed of this during its development?" "We are investigating those questions ourselves," Admiral Krev rumbled. "For now, our priority is to get the Intrepid operational. We are hoping one of your pilots might be willing to assist us." A younger human with pale skin and red hair spoke up. "What exactly would this involve? How long would our pilot need to remain with the ship?" Zorax hesitated. They hadn't discussed this part. "We are not entirely sure. The ship might only need a human to initialize its systems, or it might require a human presence for continued operation." "So you are asking us to potentially provide a permanent pilot for a Confederation warship?" Director Jackson's voice had an edge to it. "Without knowing why this requirement exists or who programmed it." "I understand your concerns," Admiral Krev said, his tone softening slightly. "But this situation could have implications for the security of multiple worlds, including Earth. The Confederation has always respected your sovereignty and your desire for gradual integration into galactic society. We are not asking for anything more than temporary assistance while we resolve this mystery." The humans asked for time to discuss the request privately. As they filed out of the conference room, Zorax turned to Dr. Pax. "What do you think? Will they help us?" Dr. Pax's large eyes blinked slowly. "Humans are curious by nature, Commander. The opportunity to pilot an advanced Confederation vessel might be too tempting to resist, but they are also cautious when it comes to matters they don't fully understand." Admiral Krev joined their conversation. "If they refuse, we may have no choice but to order Telex Industries to redesign the ship's AI. That could take months, perhaps years." By which time, Zorax said grimly, the Krell could have conquered half the outer rim. The door slid open, and Director Jackson returned, accompanied by a single human. This one was different from the others, taller, with features that suggested mixed ancestry and eyes that held an intensity Zorax found unsettling. Commander Pell, Admiral Krev. Dr. Pax, Director Jackson said formally, "Allow me to introduce Captain Alex Reyes, one of our most experienced test pilots. Captain Reyes has volunteered to assist with your unusual situation." The human stepped forward and extended a hand, a greeting gesture Zorax had read about in the cultural briefing. "Captain Alex Reyes, I understand you have a ship that's being stubborn?" Zorax took the offered hand cautiously, noting the firm grip. "That's one way of putting it, Captain. The most advanced warship in the Confederation fleet is refusing to fly without one of you in the pilot's seat." Captain Reyes smiled, a flash of white teeth that reminded Zorax uncomfortably of a predator. "Well then, Commander, I think it's time your ship and I had a little chat." The journey back to Confederation space was tense. Captain Alex Reyes spent most of the time asking questions about the Intrepid, many of which Zorax couldn't answer due to security protocols. The humans seemed unbothered by this, displaying a casualness that Zorax found both irritating and oddly refreshing. "So this ship," Captain Reyes said, lounging in a seat designed for a much larger being, "it just decided it had wanted a human pilot? That's pretty flattering, I guess." Zorax's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "The ship didn't decide anything, Captain. Someone programmed it that way, and we intend to find out who and why." Still, Reyes continued, "Out of all the species in your Confederation, it asked for us. The new kids on the galactic block. Don't you find that interesting?" Admiral Krev, who had been silently observing their exchange, spoke up. "What the commander finds interesting, Captain Reyes, is completing his mission without further delay. The Intrepid is needed urgently for defense operations." "Against these Krell you mentioned?" Reyes asked, too perceptive for Zorax's comfort. "That information is classified," Zorax replied automatically. Reyes shrugged. "Hard to help if I don't know what I'm getting into, Commander." Dr. Pax, who had been analyzing data on her pad, looked up. "Perhaps we should be more forthcoming, Commander. After all, Captain Reyes has agreed to assist us without knowing the full context. That shows considerable trust on the part of humans." Zorax hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. "Very well. The Krell are a highly advanced species from beyond the galactic core. For the past decade, they have been systematically claiming territories along the outer rim, displacing millions and destroying any who resist." "Sounds like standard conqueror stuff," Reyes commented. "What makes them so hard to fight?" "Their predictive battle systems," Admiral Krev rumbled. "The Krell employ quantum AIs that can anticipate our tactical maneuvers with near-perfect accuracy. Our ships move, their ships are already waiting. Our fleets regroup, they have already calculated the new formation. It's like playing chess against an opponent who knows your next dozen moves." And Reyes frowned. "No battle plan survives contact with the enemy. That's a military truism on Earth." "Perhaps for humans," Zorax said. "But Confederation military doctrine is based on precise, calculated maneuvers. Our tactics are optimized by computers, our strategies developed through millions of simulations, which the Krell can predict," Reyes concluded. "So you need something unpredictable." Zorax exchanged glances with Admiral Krev. "That is our working theory regarding the Intrepid's unusual requirement, yes." A slow smile spread across the human's face. "Well then, Commander, it sounds like you are in luck. If there's one thing humans excel at, it's being unpredictable." The Confederation Central Shipyard was even more crowded than when Zorax had left. News of the Intrepid's issues had spread, and now representatives from a dozen worlds were present, anxious to see if the expensive warship would finally leave its dock. The arrival of a human caused a stir. Many of the assembled officials and officers had never seen one before. Zorax noticed how they stared at Captain Reyes, some with curiosity, others with obvious skepticism. "Don't mind them," Zorax told Reyes as they made their way toward the Intrepid. "Most of them have never encountered your species." I'm used to being the odd one out, Reyes replied, seemingly unaffected by the attention. The humans stopped suddenly, looking up at the massive ship looming before them. Wow, that's impressive. Zorax couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Despite all the problems, the Intrepid was indeed a marvel of engineering. Its sleek hull gleamed under the shipyard's lights, its weapon systems and sensor arrays elegantly integrated into its design. 30 billion credits, Zorax said. The most advanced tactical system ever created, capable of outmaneuvering anything the Krell can deploy. If it would only fly. Chief Engineer Lumi Tass waited for them at the main airlock, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with what Zorax recognized as excitement. Commander, is this the human pilot? Captain Alex Reyes, Zorax confirmed. Captain, this is Chief Engineer Lumi Tass. Reyes smiled at the blue-skinned alien. A pleasure, Chief Engineer. I understand you have been trying to get this beauty off the ground. Lumi's markings flickered in confusion at the Earth idiom, but she nodded. Yes, Captain. The ship is fully functional in every way except propulsion. It simply will not engage the drive systems without what it calls compatible pilot input. Well, let's see if I'm compatible, shall we? Reyes said, gesturing toward the airlock. Inside, the Intrepid was even more impressive. The corridors stretched in elegant curves, lighting adjusted automatically to their presence, and the air held a crisp, clean scent that was neither too sterile nor too fragrant. Perfect environmental conditions for most known species. As they approached the bridge, Zorax noticed something odd. The ship's internal lights seemed to be brightening slightly ahead of them, dimming behind them, as if the ship was aware of their presence and responding to it. Is that normal? Reyes asked, apparently noticing the same phenomenon. Lumi shook her head. No, Captain. The Intrepid has never done that before. The bridge was a marvel of design, with station interfaces that could adapt to virtually any physiological configuration. The captain's chair, positioned at the center, looked like it had been designed with a Quatrani in mind, with adjustable supports for multiple limbs. Reyes approached it cautiously. This is where you want me to sit? Yes, Zorax confirmed. According to the ship's programming, it requires a human genetic signature in the command position before it will initialize its drive systems. Reyes circled the chair, examining it from all angles. And you are sure this isn't some kind of trap? No restraints going to snap shut around my wrists as soon as I sit down? Captain Reyes, Admiral Krebs said with a touch of impatience, we have no reason to deceive you. Earth is under Confederation protection. Harming you would violate numerous treaties and potentially trigger an interstellar incident. Just checking, Reyes said with a grin. Humans tend to be cautious when aliens ask us to sit in strange chairs. Before anyone could respond to this odd statement, Reyes dropped casually into the captain's chair. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the chair began to reconfigure itself, adjusting to the human's form. The bridge lighting shifted to a slightly warmer spectrum, and a gentle hum began to emanate from the ship's systems. A voice, smooth and gender-neutral, filled the bridge. Human pilot detected. Genetic compatibility confirmed. Welcome aboard the GC's Intrepid, Captain Reyes. Zorax's 4 eyes widened. It knows your name? How is that possible? Reyes looked as surprised as the rest of them. I have no idea. I have never interacted with this ship before. The ship's voice continued. All systems online. Primary drive initialized. Awaiting navigation instructions. Lumi's markings were flashing rapidly. Commander, the ship has fully activated. All systems are showing green across the board. Admiral Krebs stepped forward. Ship, identify your creator. There was a pause before the ship responded. I was designed and constructed by Telex Industries under Project Wildcard, authorized by Confederation Security Council Special Directive 7729. Zorax and Admiral Krebs exchanged shocked glances. Special Directive 7729? Zorax repeated. I have never heard of it. It is a classified project, the ship explained, initiated after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, where Confederation forces suffered their first major defeat against Krell predictive systems. But why require a human pilot? Zorax asked. Human neurological patterns exhibit quantum indeterminacy at a level unmatched by other known sentient species, the ship replied. This creates tactical opportunities that cannot be predicted by standard Krell battle computers. Reyes leaned forward in the captain's chair. Wait, are you saying humans think randomly? Not randomly, the ship corrected, chaotically. There is a difference. Random processes have no pattern. Chaotic processes have patterns too complex to predict without perfect knowledge of initial conditions. Human decision-making incorporates elements of logical reasoning, emotional response, intuitive leaps, and cultural conditioning in a way that creates chaotic outcomes. And that's good? Reyes asked, sounding somewhat offended. For combat against predictive systems, it is optimal, the ship confirmed. My tactical systems are designed to interface with human neural patterns, creating battle strategies that incorporate both advanced Confederation technology and human unpredictability. Admiral Krev's eye narrowed. Why wasn't the Security Council informed of this requirement? The project was compartmentalized, the ship explained. Knowledge of the human pilot requirement was restricted to prevent the Krell from learning of this tactical advantage. If they knew that human unpredictability was being weaponized, they might develop countermeasures. Zorax felt a headache building behind his upper eyes. So Telax Industries built you to be piloted by a species that barely has representation in the Confederation, didn't tell anyone about this requirement. And now we are supposed to just accept that our most expensive warship needs a human to function. That is correct, Commander, the ship said, with what Zorax could swear was a touch of smugness. Reyes cleared their throat. So, what happens now? Do you need me to fly this thing somewhere? Before Zorax could respond, an alarm blared through the ship. The main view screen activated, showing a tactical display of the system. Red markers appeared at the outer edge. Krell vessels detected, the ship announced. It's 3 battle cruisers entering the system. Estimated time to weapons range, 17 minutes. Admiral Krev roared in surprise. Impossible. The Krell have never penetrated this far into Confederation space. They must have learned about the Intrepid, Zorax realized. They know we are planning to deploy it against them, and they are here to destroy it before we can. Well, Reyes said, gripping the arms of the captain's chair, looks like we are about to find out if this human unpredictability thing actually works. The next few minutes were chaos. Admiral Krev ordered the evacuation of non-essential personnel from the shipyard while Zorax coordinated with the system's defense fleet. The problem was, the defense fleet consisted of only 4 light cruisers and a handful of patrol ships, no match for 3 Krell battle cruisers. The Intrepid is our only chance, Zorax told Reyes. If those Krell ships reach the shipyard, thousands will die, and the Confederation will lose its best hope against the invasion. Reyes nodded, suddenly serious. I understand. But I have never piloted anything like this before. I don't know your weapons systems, your tactical doctrines, nothing. You don't need to, the ship interjected. I will handle the technical aspects. You will provide the strategic framework, the unpredictable element that the Krell cannot anticipate. Lumi rushed onto the bridge. Commander. The docking clamps are refusing to disengage. Shipyard control says the release sequence was never designed for an emergency situation. Zorax cursed. Can we override? Negative, Lumi said. The safety protocols would take hours to bypass. We don't have hours, Admiral Krev growled. We have minutes. Reyes looked thoughtful. Ship, can you reverse thrust? Push against the clamps? That would damage both the Intrepid and the shipyard, the ship replied. But would it work? Reyes pressed. Yes, the ship admitted, though it violates 17 safety protocols. Reyes grinned. Perfect. That's exactly the kind of thinking we need. Do it? Zorak started to protest, but Admiral Krev raised a hand to stop him. "Let the human work, Commander. This is why we brought them here." The ship's engines roared to life. Metal screamed as the docking clamps bent and then broke under the pressure. The Intrepid lurched free, debris spinning away from the damaged dock. All integrity at 98%, the ship reported. Minimal damage sustained. "We are free to maneuver." "Take us toward the incoming Krell vessels," Reyes ordered. "But not directly. I want to swing around the fourth planet first." "That would add 7 minutes to our intercept time," the ship noted. "The Krell will reach the shipyard before we engage them." "Trust me," Reyes said. "They are expecting you to make the logical choice, direct intercept. We are going to do something they won't expect." As they approached the gas giant that was the system's fourth planet, Reyes ordered the ship to skim its upper atmosphere. The Intrepid shuddered as it plunged into the swirling clouds. "What are you doing?" Zorax demanded. "This is madness." "No," Reyes said, eyes fixed on the tactical display. "This is human. Ship, collect as much of the atmospheric gas as you can and compress it in the forward cargo holds." "Complying," the ship said. "Though I do not understand the tactical purpose." "You will," Reyes promised. "Now, when I give the word, I want you to vent that gas directly in front of us and ignite it with a weapon's discharge." Admiral Krebs' eye widened in understanding. "You are creating a propulsion bomb." "Exactly," Reyes said. "When it detonates, it will shoot us forward like a cork from a bottle. The Krell won't be expecting us to accelerate at that rate." The maneuver worked perfectly. The Intrepid shot out of the planet's atmosphere at a speed that had Zorax clinging to his station for dear life. The ship's inertial dampeners strained to compensate, and for a moment, Zorax felt like his insides were being rearranged. The Krell vessels appeared on the view screen, massive and menacing. But they were turning too slowly, clearly surprised by the Intrepid's sudden appearance from an unexpected vector. "Target their propulsion systems," Reyes ordered. "Fire when ready." The Intrepid unleashed a barrage of energy weapons that tore through the first Krell ship's engines. The alien vessel listed to one side, emergency systems flaring as it tried to compensate. "One down," Reyes said. "Now for something really unpredictable. Ship, can you create a localized gravity distortion?" "Affirmative," the ship replied. "Do it between the two remaining Krell ships," Reyes instructed. "Make them think there's a spatial anomaly forming. They will try to move away from it." The tactic worked exactly as Reyes had predicted. The two Krell vessels began to move in opposite directions, trying to escape what they perceived as a danger. This separated them, making them vulnerable to individual attack. "Take the one on the left," Reyes ordered. "All weapons complement." The Intrepid's weapon systems unleashed their fury on the second Krell ship. Its shields buckled under the assault, and secondary explosions blossomed along its hull. The third Krell vessel, realizing it was outmatched, began to turn away. "They are running," Zorax said in disbelief. "I have never seen a Krell ship retreat before." "Let them go," Reyes said. "They will carry the message back to their commanders. The Confederation has a new weapon, and it's not something their computers can predict." Admiral Krebs stared at the human with newfound respect. "That was most impressive, Captain Reyes." Reyes shrugged. "Just doing what humans do best, making it up as we go along." 3 standard weeks later, Zorax stood before the Confederation Security Council, delivering his report on the Intrepid's first mission and the revelation of Project Wildcard. "Thanks to Captain Reyes and the Intrepid, the Krell advance has been halted at the Rigel front," Zorax concluded. 3 additional Krell battle groups have been defeated using tactics developed by Captain Reyes in conjunction with the ship's AI. "And what of this, human?" asked Counselor Vex, a spindly arachnoid whose mandibles clicked with suspicion. "Are we to believe our military security now depends on a species that has barely mastered interplanetary travel?" Zorax smiled. "Counselor, I had the same doubts. But I have seen Captain Reyes in action." The human's unorthodox thinking has proven to be exactly what we needed against the Krell's predictive systems. What does Telex Industries have to say about this? Another counselor asked. They have admitted to the secret development of Project Wildcard, Admiral Krev answered, standing beside Zorax. Their research showed that human neural patterns were uniquely suited to defeating predictive battle systems. Rather than announce this finding and risk the Krell developing countermeasures, they built the requirement directly into the Intrepid. And now? Counselor Vex pressed. Does this mean we must recruit humans for all our warships? No, Counselor, Zorax replied. But it does mean we should reconsider our approach to warfare. The Krell beat us because they could predict our logical, programmed responses. Captain Reyes beat them by doing the unexpected. Speaking of Captain Reyes, Admiral Krev added, the human has agreed to continue serving as the Intrepid's pilot and has proposed a training program for other human pilots. Additionally, Earth has formally requested accelerated membership in the Confederation. The council chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. Earth had previously shown little interest in full Confederation membership, preferring to maintain its independence. The humans believe they have something valuable to offer, Zorax explained. And after witnessing Captain Reyes in action, I'm inclined to agree. As the council debated, Zorax's communication implant buzzed. He tapped it discreetly. Commander, came Reyes's voice, the Intrepid's sensors have detected unusual activity in the Proxima system. Possible Krell scout ships. I will be there shortly, Captain, Zorax replied. He caught Admiral Krev's eye and nodded slightly. The Admiral cleared his throat, interrupting the Council's discussion. Counselors, I'm afraid we must cut this debriefing short. The Intrepid is needed for a reconnaissance mission. As they left the chamber, Zorax fell into step beside Admiral Krev. You know, Admiral, when I was assigned to the Intrepid project, I never imagined I'd end up working with a human. And? Krev prompted. Zorax's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, but this time it wasn't from frustration. And I have never been happier to be proven wrong. The ship that refused to fly without a human? It turns out that was the smartest ship in the fleet. Admiral Krev rumbled with laughter. Don't let Captain Reyes hear you say that. Humans have a saying about their heads swelling with pride. Too late, Zorax replied with a grin. I have already told Reyes. And do you know what the human said? What? What? That the real reason the ship wanted a human pilot wasn't about unpredictability or chaotic thinking patterns. Zorax paused for effect. It was because the ship has good taste. As they boarded the shuttle that would take them back to the Intrepid, Zorax realized something that both amused and alarmed him. He was starting to think like a human. And in a galaxy where the unexpected was becoming their greatest weapon, that might not be such a bad thing after all.